Hi, this is Dom from Tech Advisor, and we are here with a box of goodies from OnePlus. We have what should be the OnePlus 7 Pro. The very first time OnePlus has actually done a Pro model of one of their phones. So this is their new flagship device, higher specs than we're used to seeing from OnePlus, higher price than we're used to seeing from OnePlus in all likelihood, though at the time of recording this, I don't actually know the price for sure. Okay. So, all right. There we are, you can see a little OnePlus logo. There we go. All right, so I think this, that goes there. So this is one of these ridiculous press packs that some people give us, which this is not quite the packaging you'll see, but we'll get to that bit in a sec. I'll get through this. Okay, nice big red Never Settle, classic OnePlus. This, what have we got in here? That's our reviewer's guide. A nice fancy book showing off the phone. This little bit on here will give you a bit of a sense of what to expect. You'll notice there's no notch, there's no bezels, so that's an idea of what this phone is going to be offering. Okay, what else have we got in here? We have the new Bullets Wireless 2 headphones. I'm not going to go through this in detail, I won't unbox them here. Basically, they're pretty similar to the previous Bullets Wireless. They've had a slight redesign. They've had a change to the drivers, the speakers, so the sound should in theory be better, and there's a few little sort of quality of life tweaks, I guess. So probably wouldn't rush to upgrade if you've got the last Bullets Wireless, but we like those. They'll be a little bit better, probably for around the same price, so hopefully good. Yeah. A Warp Charge car charger, very exciting. I don't own a car. Not going to get much use out of this, but again, this is another hint of what we're going to get from the phone, because Warp Charge. So that was the 30-watt charging speed that OnePlus introduced with the McLaren Edition 6T. I think that was the first phone to have it. So little hint that maybe the 7 Pro also has Warp Charge. And I believe this should be the phone. Exciting. Okay, let's get all this out of the way. Right, here we are. This is hopefully a OnePlus 7 Pro. Oh yay, I got the color I wanted, that's good. Okay, the phone comes in 3 colors. We'll sort of show you a set. There's a nebula blue, mirror gray, and an almond. The almond's going to release a little bit later than the other two. They gave me the nebula blue, which is the one I wanted. It looks really nice. Okay, yeah, so we also got first look at some of the specs. Right, this is a top spec model, so 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage, which is pretty good. That is the top spec version. You can also get it with less than that if you don't want to quite commit to that slightly OTT set of specs, especially on the RAM front. 12 gig is crazy, but yeah, let's get this open and get an actual look at it, hopefully without scratching the box in the process. There we go, hopefully that's enough. As we often get with OnePlus, you'll see on the front there's this sort of message to the OnePlus community. They're a company that still makes a big fuss about how they have a big fan community in the way that some of the brands, competing smartphone brands, maybe don't have as close a relationship with their fans. And OnePlus also talks up a lot about the fact that it takes fan feedback into account, and some of the features in this phone are things that they say they put in because the OnePlus community of fans told them they wanted it. Right, so yeah, nice little embossed 7 and our little Pro logo there. Let's get into it. Come on. All right, there we go. Okay, more logo, more red. I'm gonna get there eventually. This is our case. Yep, nice, clear case. Love a case. Free case is always good. Gives us a little hint as to the camera setup. Very long camera cutout there. This is a camera-heavy phone. And this is just more of our little goodies. SIM tray, safety information, some stickers. All the phones come with stickers now. Yeah, I don't know whether you're meant to put them on your phone, or on other things, on other people's phones, but stickers galore. There we go. the phone itself. Never Settle. Again, they're not subtle about the branding, but you know, we love them for it. Again, in-display fingerprint scanner, so that was in the 6T as well. We'll get to that in a bit. And here we go. Oh, you got a hint of the blue. Like I said, this blue is really nice. Okay, here we go. The phone in all of its glory. So we'll get a better look once we get it turned on. But as you can see, that is one big, black, blank, lovely display. It is 6.67 inches, I believe. And OnePlus are clear to point out that when they measure the screen size, they don't take into account the curve in a way that some other companies do to maybe pad the numbers slightly. They make a point of saying that's not counted in that number. Here we go on the back. Let me get that off, ruining the view. If I can get it off, come on. There we go. Okay, so yeah, here we are. This is the Nebula Blue finish, which you can see has this lovely sort of shimmer quality, sort of darker at the top and a slight gradient as it goes down. It's reflective, but not too reflective. I can't help but wonder, I know OnePlus did an Avengers tie-in phone last year, and this is Nebula Blue. There is an Avengers character called Nebula. She is kind of blue, a very similar blue to this. I have no idea if that's coincidental, accidental, if there's going to be some tie-in version down the line or something like that. If nothing else, maybe it's just a nice coincidence. But yeah, this is the lovely Nebula Blue. It also comes in Mirror Grey, which is a grey. It's much more reflective than this one. They've really just gone for that more mirror-y vibe. And then there's an Almond, which is a really nice finish, actually. So it's that one's got gold around the edges. And it is this sort of creamy off-white almond color in the middle. It's a little bit like some of the rose gold iPhone finishes, but actually I think a lot nicer. They've said that one's releasing a bit later than the grey and blue finishes. Not sure why, not sure how much later. But yeah, this is the blue, which I'm a big fan of. We've got a first look at this triple camera setup. As we hinted, I'll break down the camera specs in a bit later on. Also, a little hint, that's going to be a pop-up selfie camera. That's why we don't have anything on the front. And yeah, otherwise our sort of notifications, the notification slider, power button, USB-C charging, down-firing speaker. They've actually made a point of saying, so we now have stereo speakers, speaker grill up here, speaker there, and they've made a point of saying they put the speaker at that point so that when you have the phone in landscape, your hand isn't blocking the speaker grill. That's part of the focus with this phone on the display for watching stuff and on the specs for gaming, both things you're likely to do in landscape. So they've thought about that kind of stuff, which is nice. And then otherwise, yeah, just the power button and all of that. So let's get it turned on. Here we are. Okay, OnePlus. So one thing you'll notice is the display is curved, as I mentioned. That is, I believe, a first for OnePlus. It's the sort of thing Samsung have been doing for a few years, obviously. That kind of was their trademark, and last couple of Huawei devices have had it as well. Like the P30 Pro has a similar sort of curve at the edge. And yeah, it's lovely. Okay, I'll just run through the core setup stuff very quickly. Yep, sure, do all that. Push notifications, great. I'll skip all the internet stuff. Okay, so one thing we'll see, date and timer. No, it's fine, they can be a bit wrong for now. All the Google stuff. And yeah, okay, let's get into the fingerprint scanner, and then I'll talk about the display some more. So I will do a very bad pin, never do this pin. And here we go. So in-screen fingerprint scanner. Again, not a first, the 6T had it as well. One thing OnePlus has said about this one is that it should be improved. It's the same tech, it's still optical rather than ultrasonic. But what they've said is that they've kind of made the sensor area bigger, better quality, it's better at kind of collecting the data. They basically said it should be more reliable, and more importantly, it should be faster. Obviously, I can't test that right now. It's certainly being very exacting in how much data it wants me to put in to register it, but there we go. Yeah, so in theory, this should be a slightly faster fingerprint scanner. They said it's a little bit over half the time, so it's almost twice as fast, which is nice. Okay, screen calibration, get sort of color options, I'll go with Vivid. And you get to pick your system font. So Roboto, which is the standard Android, or the OnePlus Slate font, which is slightly different, not drastically. And there we go, into the phone. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, so let's get brightness up a bit. There we are. Now we can see this screen in all of its glory. So like I said, we have no notch. We've got basically no bezels. I think it's like an 88% screen to body ratio, something around there. It's 6.67 inches, I think I said. It's AMOLED. It's 90 Hertz refresh rate, which is an interesting choice because it's something we've mainly seen in gaming phones so far. People like Razer and Asus ROG have done this faster refresh rate as something that they say should deliver when gaming. It's an interesting sign of OnePlus's priorities with the 7 Pro that they've gone for that faster refresh rate here. It basically means that things should just look a bit nicer and crisper and everything is a bit more fluid. The animations will be nicer as you go around. It'll be more responsive, especially when you are gaming. You can lower it to 60 Hertz if you are worried about battery life, because the 90 Hertz will be a bit of an extra drain. But you can also sort of lower it to a setting where it sits at 60 all the time and then ups itself to 90 Hertz automatically whenever you sort of watch 90 Hertz content. The other thing we'll note, interesting, sort of Netflix comes pre-installed here. So one of the other big things about this screen is it is, I believe, the first in a smartphone that's HDR10 Plus compliant. And they've partnered with both YouTube and Netflix for this to be sort of an officially recognized device, so that if you watch, you can watch HDR10 Plus content in Netflix and YouTube, and that will all display properly on here, and you'll get all the benefits of all those HDR features, which, yeah, I think this is the first phone to have that. So if you're big on your display stuff, if you're big on video and you really want to get the absolute best quality while you're watching on your phone, which is never going to be the best quality, but this is probably one of the best ones out there for that, which is interesting because OnePlus's, displays have never been like their big driving point, but this one maybe could be better. I mean, looking at it right now, it looks pretty lovely, so I can kind of see why they're making a big fuss out of it. Specs-wise, I think I mentioned a bit already. This one's 12 gig of RAM and 256 gig of storage, which is the top spec version. You can, it also comes with a Snapdragon 855 processor. No surprise there, that's the big flagship chip. And the other unique thing about this phone is that it has UFS 3.0. If you don't know what that means, I wouldn't blame you. That's Universal Flash Storage 3.0. It basically means the storage itself is faster. It's the equivalent of sort of, installing an SSD into your computer and suddenly seeing everything get faster. So it should be, they say, up to 9 times faster read and write speeds. In practice, it basically means apps will open faster, photos will save faster, file transfer will be faster, games will load quicker, anything like that. They are, so the OnePlus have made a point of saying that they are, the 7 Pro is the only phone on the market right now to have UFS 3.0. It's not the first phone to have UFS 3.0 because the Samsung Galaxy Fold actually included it. Unfortunately, we all know how well that went, not UFS's fault, but the Fold launch has been delayed, so it's not out, and so at the time of launch, the 7 Pro will be the only phone to have UFS 3.0, but it wasn't technically the first one to sort of be announced and put out in the world with it. The Fold will have it whenever we next see the Fold turn up. Okay, so the other big thing, beyond the display, which is the one focus, the other really big change is camera stuff. So let's go in there and take a look. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to switch to selfie mode. This will be horrible for me, but there we go. Because there we have our little slide-up pop-up camera popping up there. So this is how they can get away with not having a notch in the screen, because this thing slides up. You'll see it's quite sturdy, like it's quite a thick pop-up camera. It's not, we've seen some sort of spindly ones on other phones that always make you a bit nervous that they're going to break. This one's pretty chunky, it's pretty sturdy, so it should hopefully last. They say it's sort of, they've tested it 300,000 slides in and out and that sort of thing. So they say it should be durable enough to last for years. Obviously that's not something I can test. One thing is you shouldn't push it down. It is just, it only goes automatically. But as we can see, it does that. And it does it pretty quickly. If we listen, there's a little tiny whirring noise. Maybe you can hear that, I don't know. But it's cool. It's a 60 megapixel selfie camera. It's the exact same selfie camera that they had in the 6T. So there's no change in the quality of the photos you're going to get from this. It's just that it's changed position into that slightly off-center bit above there, which gives them the full screen. I'm a big fan of this kind of solution because I never take selfies, so I can happily pretend that the camera isn't there, completely ignore it. One other thing to do, it can be used for face unlock as well. If you want to use face unlock, it will then slide out. That obviously means you've got that extra little fractional bit of time to unlock the phone for the camera to slide up and slide back down, which is partly why they don't put it in the setup process. Instead, they put the in-screen fingerprint because that's probably going to be faster and probably more secure because this isn't using infrared stuff or anything. It's just the single camera face recognition, but it's there if you want it. Now, let's get on to the more exciting bit, arguably, which is our 3 rear cameras. So on the top, we have an ultra-wide lens, which I think is 16 megapixels. In the middle, as we can see highlighted there, we have a 48 megapixel main sensor. So we've seen sort of a few cameras with that kind of megapixel count pop up over the last year or so. This is OnePlus's attempt. It is a sort of standard sensor, but they've got a custom built lens that they're putting on top of it that should hopefully deliver in sort of low light and stuff like that much better. We've then got at the bottom a 3x telephoto lens, which is, so we're getting into the kind of camera space that we've seen in the Huawei P30 and P30 Pro. So the P30 had a 3x lens, the Pro has a 5x lens. Oppo's Reno phones that were announced pretty recently, obviously Oppo, OnePlus, same parent company, so no surprise we're seeing the same kind of thing there. The Oppo Reno is also in this space of having a triple lens setup and making a big fuss out of a telephoto lens. The other thing we'll notice on the back, just while we look, is the 2 dots there. That's a new, what OnePlus calls hybrid autofocus. It's basically using a combination of phase detection and contrast focus. They say it'll be faster, more accurate autofocus. Again, I can't really test that all right now, but you know, hopefully it should be good. So if we go in, that should be our, yep, there's our wide angle. Then that's our regular. And if we punch in, that is our 3x optical zoom. Now it's a bit wobbly because I've had too much coffee today, so my hands are a bit shaky. But there is optical image stabilization on the telephoto lens and on the main lens. We can also then zoom in further. We're now sort of hitting digital. So it caps out at 10 times. This is that sort of combination of, it's using both the 3x telephoto lens, like the physical zoom, and it's then throwing in digital zoom that's driven by the 48 megapixel sensor. Again, similar to what we've seen with Huawei and Oppo, but interestingly capping out at 10 times, not doing that Huawei thing of going all the way to like 50 times ridiculous zoom. So it's not quite on that level, but I mean, the quality really drops off on that anyway. But yeah, just in terms of like regular stuff, that is, that's nice. I mean, it's interesting. Camera, I think, has been something that OnePlus has never really led on. And I think it's always been one of our thoughts on the OnePlus phones is that they're great phones, especially for the money. But if you really want a camera and you want a great camera, we would never normally send you to OnePlus. This might change it. Obviously, it's going to cost a bit more, we think, for that privilege. But yeah, this looks interesting. Sort of first thoughts are positive, at least on specs. I'm really looking forward to spending this week testing this out. As we can see on the, you can sort of see in the background there, London is a bit grey and gloomy right now, which is a bit disappointing for getting interesting test shots. But yeah, I have very high hopes for this camera. OnePlus is also saying they've like redone their whole algorithm. They've got a new algorithm they're calling UltraShot, which basically they're just saying it's going to be faster, it's going to be better, much higher quality photos, much better at dealing with light scenarios. Their nightscape, I think they call it, sort of night mode has also had a big revamp. They're calling it Nightscape 2.0 now. So again, it should be much better in low light, which has been one of the ways sort of a lot of the flagship companies are competing this year, is who's got this best like low light camera. So OnePlus with the 7 Pro is really throwing itself into that race and saying that with this camera setup, it can compete with Huawei and with the Google Pixel phones and stuff like that. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about quickly is software stuff. So this is obviously running Oxygen OS, the OnePlus operating system. There's just been a few little tweaks to it, basically new features that are maybe worth talking about quickly. So one that OnePlus says has been driven by its fan community is a screen recorder built in, which, yeah, basically will record everything you're doing on the phone. So you can see it's now sort of recording as I flip around. You can set it to either record sort of the internal audio, i.e., the sort of audio from apps or whatever, or you can use the external audio through the mic. There's actually, interestingly, like no cap to the duration you can record, so you can record as much as you want, which is nice. I mean, it's a small feature, but if you want to use it, it's there. Gaming mode has had a few updates, just a bit more customization in what kind of notifications you can turn on and off. And there's also going to be a new esports mode with a partnership with a specific esports team, Fnatic, I think, which will turn like all notifications off. So you'll have to go through a little bit of a, yes, I want to do this. Yes, I definitely want to do this. I promise I want to do this. But it will turn off all notifications, prioritize all of your data towards whatever sort of, if you're playing an online game like PUBG or Fortnite, it'll prioritize all of your data towards the game rather than towards any other apps that want to use it. I don't think it's on this phone right now because this is running pre-release software waiting for an update. So this has got the regular gaming mode, but not that new sort of esports mode built in, so I can't show you. And the other thing we've got is Zen mode, which is here. See if it'll let me turn it on. So basically Zen mode is in a way doing a similar thing to gaming mode, which is to turn off a lot of notifications. So it says here, phone down, enjoy life, take a 20-minute break from your phone. So it's set to 20 minutes. Apparently you can't change that to any other time, I think. And what it does is, yeah, it turns off everything. It can't be cancelled once it's started. Notifications are muted. You can still receive phone calls and make emergency phone calls, but only to emergency numbers. And all apps except the camera get locked down. So basically it kind of bricks a lot of your phone functionality for 20 minutes. And once you start, you cannot turn it off. You can't change your mind. You are 20 minutes, you're out of your phone. So you've got to get on with whatever productivity you wanted to do, or if you wanted to meditate, or if you wanted to sort of chat for a friend without an interruption from your phone. But you cannot get out of it once you're in it. So here we go. You get this timer to cancel. And now I'm done. I can't use the phone anymore. 20 minutes and just got this timer. And basically I can make emergency calls. I can open the camera and that is it. Which seems like a good point to stop talking about the phone since I can't use it anymore. Quickly run through the last few bits in the box, having just been talking about the phone so far. Here are classic red OnePlus charging cable. And more excitingly, logo gives it away, a Warp charger, as I mentioned before. So this is a 30-watt charger. This is the UK plug. Obviously, you'll get whatever one is right for your country. Goes with that. And that will, the phone battery is also pretty significant. It's 4,000 milliamp hours, I think. And they say that together with the Warp charge, 20 minutes of charge should give you up to 50% of the battery if you're charging from zero, which is great. I mean, charging is getting faster and faster all over the place recently, and it's nice to see OnePlus is kind of keeping up with what everyone else is doing. Yeah, so this is the OnePlus 7 Pro. There will also be a OnePlus 7. I don't have that with me yet. That will be more like a sort of incremental upgrade from the 6T. That takes some of the features from this, like I think it's got the 48 megapixel sensor and a couple other things, but it's got the same rough design and build as the 6T, same display as the 6T. It's got the notch, like teardrop notch rather than the pop-up camera that you get here. This is really the one that's putting OnePlus into that big flagship space, competing with the Samsung S10, competing with the P30 Pro, competing with the Pixel 3 and maybe Pixel 4 down the line. This is a very exciting phone. We don't, at the time of shooting this video, I don't know the price. If you're watching this, that probably means the launch event has happened and you do know the price. I think it's going to be somewhere around £800 or dollars. It's in that kind of ballpark, like top pricing, but not quite as high maybe as what Samsung and Huawei are doing, but it's in that ballpark. But yeah, this looks lovely. The big question mark right now for me is the camera as good as those specs make it look? That's what I'm going to go away and test all week. once this timer lifts and I'm actually allowed to use the phone again. Thanks very much. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll hopefully have some more videos with the 7 Pro coming for you soon. Cheers.